back to my channel. So for today's look, we are jumping right in. I am just prepping up my eyes with a little bit of concealer, and as you can probably tell, I have a little bit of tape on the corners of my eyes just to give me a nice sharp look, because I want this eye look to be kind of graphic. So I'm just spot concealing real quick. I have been doing this lately to just cover up some of the redness because it is winter, so some of my spots are a lot more noticeably red, and I've been a little bit dehydrated, so we're just gonna brighten everything up a bit with the Pretty Fresh concealer from ColourPop. And if you're doing this method yourself, I would recommend using a tone that is closer to your skin tone than a brightening color, just so you don't overdo it later on. So now I'm going in with a packing brush, and I am taking this ColourPop Super Shock Shadow, and I believe the color is Donna, and I am using this as a base for the green shadow that we're going to be putting on later, just because I know that the palette I'm going to use sometimes is a bit patchy or chalky, so I want the green to have something to stick to. And this is a really easy way for me to lay out the eye shape I wanted, because I wasn't 100% sure how I wanted this to look and how far I wanted everything to go up and over, but I'm just staying right along my tape line and slowly blending the base out a bit. So I'm going into this dark forest green in the Makeup Revolution Division palette. This is a really good dupe for the Anastasia Beverly Hills Subculture palette. I'm just packing this on to the green base that we did, and I'm just going to extend it slightly, going up it onto my eye socket a little bit and just past where the base is, just so everything is nice and feathered out and easily blendable into our other colors. So I'm just kind of wiggling my brush around a little bit and picking it up and putting it down to place color a little bit further out than the base. Now I'm going into this vibrant bright yellow shade I have. I'm not sure where this shade is from. It was just in my Z palette. I recently depotted a whole bunch of shadows, so there's like 4 or 5 palettes all smashed in there. But I just started packing this on my lid, and it blended really nicely into the green, creating this really fun, like, not neon green, but kind of a grassy green transition in the middle. And I am just packing as much of the shadow on as I can so that there's a good variation. I didn't want it to come off too mustardy yellow. I wanted it to be like a real true sunshiny yellow. So now I'm just taking a clean blending brush and I'm just going over the edges. I didn't want too much blended out. Like I said, I wanted this to be pretty graphic. And then on the inner corners, I'm just adding some NYX White Milk Pencil. I also did my liner, and I just followed the tape with that as well. So at this point, I have taken off the tape because we are all done with our liner, so we don't need it anymore. But I just blended this out with my finger and let it melt into the shadows. And then, of course, some Lash Paradise Mascara. This is my absolute favorite one. If you use the Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara, I would say this is a pretty good dupe. The wand and everything are the same shape. So now I'm going in with a little bit of my Pore Blur Primer from Makeup Revolution. This is just my current favorite primer. It's really nice and not as heavy as other pore blurring primers I've found. It's a lot nicer on the skin. It's very light, but it still gets the job done and doesn't slide around too much. Other pore primers I've had make your skin really slippery and don't really have a nice amount of stick. So now I'm just taking my L'Oreal Superstay the Maybelline Superstay on a Sigma Kabuki brush, and I'm just blending this in, making sure it's nice and buffed. This color is slightly darker than I need right now, just because, like I said, it is winter time, so I'm pretty pale right now. But with my concealer, it does balance out fairly well. I will say, if you're someone who's using this, I would go a shade up, just because it does tend to oxidize just a little bit and have more of a yellowy tone than a like pinky undertone. So now I'm going in with the Pretty Fresh concealer again, and I know this is probably going to look weird, but I saw Michaela, and I don't know how to say her last name, but if you're into makeup and you watch TikTok, you know who I'm talking about, the girl from Boston. She was trying out this concealer technique, so I thought I would give it a go. I really liked how it looked on her, and she's actually one of the few people I see in the makeup community who has like a rounder face. So I really wanted to try this out since I do have a rounder face. So I'm just doing my little exclamation point on my nose with my highlight, and then putting a little bit on the chin, just like the model in the video. And then you go up the sides of your jaw with the concealer. Now, I'm someone who doesn't often highlight their jaw just because I'm always afraid I'm going to do it wrong, but I watched her TikTok like 3 times before I did this just so I can make sure I got it right. And now I'm just blending it out with a buffing brush. I believe that's what she used, this or a sponge, but I didn't have a sponge on me. And I really liked the way the concealer looked. I think it balanced out the color of the foundation really well, but it also made everything look super lifted, but didn't feel really cakey or heavier like I did a whole lot. It didn't take a lot of blending. It just all kind of melted in really nicely. So I would probably try this again if I was doing like some stage makeup or something. I mean, it's a pretty heavy concealer routine for every day, but if you're someone who really wants to brighten your whole face and just lift everything really up, this is probably a good technique for you to try. Now we're going to start contouring. I'm just going into my medium shade of my e.l.f. contouring quad. This is what I just normally do. And this is an MUA contouring brush. So I wanted this to really follow that concealer. So I went right along the line where my concealer blended out to and started carving everything out. I usually lay down my contour pretty heavy and then of course go back and blend everything out. It does take a little bit longer this way, but to be honest, it's the best way that I can think of doing it for my personal preference. But you know, do whatever makes you happy. And then I am just contouring the sides of my nose a bit and my forehead just because I'm not wearing a wig today. I haven't not worn a wig in a tutorial in a while, and I really like my hair right now. So I wanted to just let it be out and natural. I did get my hair colored. It is no longer black. It is like this kind of black cherry red. And I'm working on getting closer to like a light copper shade since everybody loves that copper wig I have so much. So now I'm just putting on a little bit of blush from ColourPop. This is Yummy Cookies. It is just kind of a bronzy, shimmery blush. It has a little bit of a pink undertone when it's on my skin, and I just really like the way it looks. It's nice and fresh and easy to do, and I'm just stippling that on. Then I'm using a liquid highlighter, which I don't normally use, and you'll see why when I go to put it on my nose. This is called Mermaid Scales. And see that big drop right there? That's why I don't like using this stuff a lot, because it is so easy to screw your whole face up. But I was able to fix it. So I just use a stipple brush to blend this into my skin. This one's from Makeup Revolution. I don't know that they even make it anymore. I got this when like people used to take oil and like drip it onto their hand and then put it on their face. Like that was the big makeup trend at the time. So but I really like the way this looks. It's obviously a very reflective highlighter. You could even put this on before your foundation, which is what I really should have done, because I just ended up going over my foundation brush anyway to tone it down a bit since it was pretty intense for the rest of this look. But luckily my eyes are pretty simple, so nothing was competing too much. But I just blended this out, and then I put a little bit of this olive green shade under my eyes. I think it provided a really nice contrast, especially with the shape of the eye today. I needed a little bit of something underneath to just balance my face out. I also put on some false lashes. This look, you can go a little bit heavier with your lashes since it's not intricate shadow work. You're not going to be covering up anything. And I also filled in my eyebrows. I just take powders from the Lorac Mega Pro 3 palette that I'm holding right here and fill them in. Usually the shade Hickory and Maple I mix together so it has a little bit of red in it. I have tried some other colors so far, and this is the best combo I can use at the moment. Then I'm just using the NYX Retractable Lip Liner Pencil in Nude. I just got this one and I really like it. It's kind of the perfect shade for me. And I'm just lining my lips with it. I've never had retractable lip pencils before, and I'm never going to go back to ones you sharpen, quite honestly. These are so much easier to work with, and it's always sharp. and the point is really super small so you can get into the corners of your mouth, which I have a really hard time with without making them too big. And then I used a NYX lip lingerie. This is in the color Bedtime, and it's kind of this mauve-y nude. I'm not gonna lie, a lot of the lip lingeries look exactly alike. I have like 4 of them, and only like 3 of them look different from each other. But I ended up screwing this up so bad and redoing my lips, so don't even bother about the way this looks right now because it's gonna look different at the end of the video. I went way over my lip line. But yeah, that is it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of forest green and yellow makeup tutorial. If you did, let me know with a like down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.